Okay, a blessed day, everyone. Ayan, I hope everyone is doing well. Okay, so we will continue our discussion under Unit 2. Still, we are in the economic globalization, and we are still in Chapter 1. Okay, we have already talked about the global economy. Okay, so let's try to continue our discussion. So this time, we will be talking about the modern world system. Okay, by Emmanuel Wallerstein. Okay, so before we begin, okay, I hope you have your copy with you. So this lesson can be found in our book. Okay, it is located in page 144. Disclaimer, this will be a summary of what you have already read. Okay, I suppose, I presume that you already read this lesson, and what I will be doing in this recorded lecture is only to reiterate some of the points. Okay, kung gusto nyo mas maliwanag para sa for the purposes of midterm exam, kailangan ninyong panoorin. Hindi, kailangan yung basahin yung ating lecture or yung ating module na nasa book ninyo. Okay? Okay, so ito yung mga objectives natin sa lesson na ito. Okay, makikita ninyo yung picture dito ni Wallerstein. So kailangang i-explain natin yung modern world system. Let's try to differentiate the three parts of the modern world system. Okay, by now you already know what I am talking about. And of course, explain the great divergence. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so let's start with our introduction, of course. So again, going back, capitalism, according to Karl Marx and his followers, collectively called the Marxists, mayroon tayong tinatawag na the struggle of the surplus value. Ito yung rason, kumbaga, kung bakit tinatawag nilang negative or masama ang capitalism. Okay, kasi under the capitalism, itong mga working class are exploited by wealthy social elites or itong mga kapitalista, mga businessman, for the surplus value of their labor. What do we mean by surplus value? Simply means it refers to the fact that a worker produces more value in a day than he or she is paid for. Okay? And this surplus value or extra value will become the profit or the profits of the employer or the capitalist. Okay? So, sa madaling salita, yung binabayad sa mga workers, yung binabayad sa mga employees, ay kakarampot lamang kung ikukumpara natin sa kinikita ng mga employers or ng mga kapitalista. Okay, sabi nga natin, I've been talking about this for so long. Okay, itong mga Southeast Asian workers na ito, sa kanilang paggawa ng mga Nike shoes, okay, minimum wage lamang ang kinikita nila. Okay, 500 pesos, 350 pesos. And then we compare that to the income of the Nike company, which is billions, di ba? They have millions of sale all over the world in a year. Okay, so, di ba? Okay, so that is actually unfair, okay, as argued by the Marxists. Okay, so again, because of this fact that the wage, okay, that is received by the employees, by the workers, are only a little compared to what companies are gaining from them. created this conflict. Okay? This conflict, which we call the struggle of the surplus value. Okay? Again, dahil sa struggle of the surplus value, okay, dagiti umakbak ng dalata, tadakkel nga rod ti makitkita da. Nagdakkel ti maganansyada, nagbasit ti imbayad da. Okay, dagiti met workers tumuta masapol da nga rin ti kwarta, an-anusan na detoy nga narigat nga obra. Okay? So, an-anusan da. Just enough to survive the day. Okay? Just enough to survive di kasi importante nga masapol di pinagbiag. And by doing so, okay, papabaknangen da dagitoy dati nga baknang, okay? Awan maaramidan da ta masapol da nga rod ti kwarta. Ayan, that is the struggle of the surplus value. Okay? Yan yung sinasabi ni na Karl Marx. Now, this concept is important because it's the same concept na magiging basis ni Wallerstein. Okay? So, in-expound lang niya yan. Okay? Ginawang global scale. Itong sinasabi natin na struggle of the surplus value, mapapansin natin yan sa global landscape. Okay? Itong what is happening between workers, between his employers, ganun din between countries. Okay, sabi ni Wallerstein. And that is the focus of this lecture. Okay? So, let's proceed. Okay, so first of all, the modern world system by Wallerstein is actually another perspective, okay, of economic globalization. So last time we learned 8 perspectives, di ba? Ang dami. So actually, 9 yung perspectives under economic globalization na inaral natin or aaralin natin kasi nandyan din itong Wallerstein's modern world system. Okay, so again, let's try to dissect. Okay, what do we mean by modern world system? Okay, so this modern world system, first of all, commenced during the late 15th to 16th century. So, kaskapada, digijay imuna, okay, makita tayo yung trend nga most of them believe na tinanggrugyanan ti globalization, economic globalization, ket kadigiti nga pampanawon. Okay? So, apay world system so na. Okay? World system so na because it covers the whole world. Okay? And it is larger than any juridically defined political unit. So it's larger than a single empire. It's larger than a single kingdom. Okay? It's larger than a single continent, di ba? Okay, as we have already learned in the previous perspective, so nalawa, dakkel si coverage na dito yung trading system. Okay, kaya siya world system. Okay, so ayan, no need to learn more about this one, but basically sistema so na kasi ada ti mapaspasamak nga trades, ada sursurutan da nga trend nga no flow, exchange flow, trade flow kadto yung makunkuna nga modern world system nga ibagbaga ni Wallerstein. Okay. Okay, so as we have discussed a while back, okay, this 3 parts of the modern world system is actually just an expounded version of the capitalist principles as explained by Karl Marx. Okay? Kung sa capitalism, na explanation ni Karl Marx, meron tayong lower class, middle class, upper class because of the capitalist system, because of the surplus value, or the conflict of the surplus value, I should say. Ganun din sa world system natin. Okay, we have core, okay, we have semi-periphery, and then periphery nations. Okay, so let's start with the most powerful, the core. Okay, sino ba tong mga core na to? As you have learned in our book, they are the producers of complex products using technologically advanced methods of production. Okay, so they are developed, industrialized, and affluent. Okay, and because of this, they are able to dominate at the heart of the modern world system. Okay, so let's try to expound that. Okay, so basically, they are, again, most developed and powerful countries in the world system. This is your United States, Canada, most of Europe. Okay, at ang pinakasentro nito is Germany. Okay, so you have learned in our documentaries. Ayan, palaging na-mention dyan ang Germany. You have the UK, okay, you have Japan, France, New Zealand, and Australia. Okay, so they are producers of what we call uh, high value. Okay? Sa Ilocano, mahal yung mga products na pinoproduce ng mga bansa na ito. At hindi mga laborers, hindi literal na taong mga gumagawa. Most of these products are made by technologies, okay? By machines. Alright? And if gawa man yan ng tao, they are not simple laborers, but they are skilled laborers. They are experts or professionals. Yan. So, another is that basically they have high levels not only of industrialization but innovation. Okay? They are the pioneers in scientific innovations. Okay? Okay. And because of this, okay, they have become dominant in the world system in the sense that they can also have control over international financial institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. Later on, we will discuss that. Okay, so again, they have influence over global political and economic policies. Okay, so let's continue. Periphery nations. Okay, so if core produces products that are of high value, periphery is the opposite. Okay, they are producers of less value goods. Okay, hindi mahal. Okay, mura yung mga goods na pinoproduce or binebenta ng mga nations na to. However, they are needed in everyday life. Ayan. Okay, so bakit kasi why are they needed in everyday life? Because these are your commodities. Because these are your agricultural products. Okay? And they are also much needed as raw materials for the core nations. Okay, sabi nga natin, example na natin to, paulit-ulit na. Yung mga phones natin na yan, yung mga cars na minamanufacture sa USA, sa Japan, sa Europe. Okay, yung mga raw materials na yan, yung mga minerals na gagamitin for them to make these technologies, galing sa Africa. Okay, these raw materials are from Africa. And at the same time, sabi nga natin, if the laborers are from periphery, yung nag-a-assemble ng mga maliliit na yan, na partes ng mga sasakyan na yan, mga technologies na yan, or ng mga sapatos at damit na yan, ay mga African nations or Southeast Asian nations. So they are the producers of cheap labor. Okay? So, sino tong mga laborers na to? Unlike in the core that they are skilled, that they are professionals, in the periphery, because they have cheap labor, obviously, the laborers are unskilled. Okay? They are not professional. Kaya nga, sabi nga natin, economic exploitation. Kaya nga minimum wage lang ang sahod ng mga ito. Most of the time, as we have seen in Africa, they are working in toxic environments. They are working in hazardous conditions that even we have cases, high cases of child labor. Okay? So, again, what we are trying to say, they have weaker economic policies. Okay? They are struggling with their economy. That their only survival in terms of economy is to export this. Okay? And ito yung sinasamantala ng mga core nations. Okay? Binibili nila yung mga products ng mga bansa na to at a lower price. Okay? Sabi ko nga, again, in Africa, okay? Ilan lang yung kinikita ng mga miners na to. Okay? Sa mga gold, sa mga coppers na minamine sa kanilang areas. Okay? And this will be used for these technologies that will be thousands of bucks, hundreds of bucks once it is already manufactured or assembled or even just labeled in the core nations. Okay? So, again, your ferry. These are, uh, just to name a few, you have uh, many of the countries in Africa, especially in the sub-Saharan, okay? Like Chad, Congo, Somalia. Okay, you have also Nepal, Bangladesh. Ito yung mga sinasabi kong Southeast Asian nations. Okay, some countries in Latin America. Okay, Haiti, Honduras, Bolivia. Ayan, mga naririnig nyo sa Miss Universe. Okay, and of course, we have the semi-periphery. So, what do we mean by semi-periphery? So, semi nga. So, meron silang periphery sila, pero mayroon silang some characteristics of being a core. Okay, so half-half. Okay? So, in between. So, what are these characteristics that they have? It was not specified. Okay, so listen to me. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics. Okay, so they have moderate levels of industrialization and economic development. Okay, serve as a buffer zone between core and periphery. So parang silang mga ahente, middlemen between the core and the periphery nations. Okay, so they have industries. Okay, but this is industries depends on core countries for investment and technology. Okay, so they have the capability of exploiting periphery countries, but they are also exploited by core countries. Ayan. So, ang magandang example dito is yung BPO countries natin. BPO industries natin. Okay, so obviously, one example, one nation that belongs here is our very own Philippines. Okay, you also have China, Brazil, India, South Africa, Mexico. Okay, so ayan. Um, again, to continue, so they are in between. Sige, balikan natin. BPO industry. So, kagaya nga sa Pilipinas, uh, yung mga BPO companies natin sa Pilipinas, alam natin yan, malaki yan. Okay, so we are also hiring laborers, workers from other Southeast Asian countries. So top destination tayo ng ibang Southeast Asian nations, okay, to work here, okay, under BPO companies. But again, habang ginagawa natin yan, habang nag-exploit tayo, we are dependent on core nations kasi sino ba yung mga clients natin sa BPO companies? Okay, of course, yung mga core nations. So in between tayo. Okay? China, why are you maybe you are asking why is China part of the semi-periphery? Okay? So siguro pwede nating argue. Okay, later on I will explain BRICS. But sige, we can possibly argue that China is now a very rich country. But why is China a semi-periphery, sir? Okay, so because again, sabi ko nga, okay, alam natin, China is still a manufacturing nation. Okay, di ba? Ang daming mga manufacturers, ang daming mga factories sa China that have cheap labor. Okay, and this cheap labor will be sold to the USA, will be sold to the Europe. Okay, again, yung mga sapatos, yung mga Nike shoes, mga Puma shoes, minamanufacture natin yan sa China. Okay, and then minamanufacture na yan ng China and then ibebenta ng napakamahal later on from USA, from Europe. Okay? Okay. But again, to sum it up, I want to discuss yung tinatawag nating BRICS. Okay? So what is BRICS? So BRICS is an organization of it's an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, it already expanded. Okay? Uh, it is now an organization of 10 countries. Okay, you have Egypt, okay, Ethiopia, uh, Indonesia, Iran, UAE, okay, and ilan na ba yon? Okay, basta yon. Okay, so BRICS, as you have observed, the BRICS nations are your semi-periphery. Okay? So, obviously, sinabi ko na to noon, ang goal ng BRICS is to create a currency that is not built or not influenced by the US dollar or by the European currency, the euros. Okay? So, ang gagawin nila, bubuo sila ng bagong world currency. Okay? So, what they are trying to do, sa madaling salita, ay gusto nilang maging core nations. Ayan. Okay, so this modern world system, essentially, hindi yan permanent, pwede yang magbago. Uh, sabi ko nga, arguably, yung China, it may be semi-periphery now, but alam natin, umaangat na sila sa ekonomiya. Malapit na nilang angatan ang USA. Sa totoo nga, in some aspects, they are now the leading in economy in some aspects. Okay, so ayan. So this again, itong three parts na ito, it's not permanent. It can change. Okay? So what BRICS are trying to do is become core nations. Okay, so that's very interesting. Okay? Ayan. Again, core, these are your highly developed nations. They produce high value products. Periphery, these are your weak nations in terms of economy. Okay, they produces commodities, raw materials, and cheap labor for the core nations, and you have semi-periphery, those in between. Okay, okay, so the Great Divergence. Okay, this is actually the effect of the three parts of the modern world system. Okay, because we have a structural pattern of unequal change as reflected in social division of labor, yun nga, yung core, semi-periphery, and periphery nations, it resulted to global inequalities. Okay, why global inequalities? Okay, we have already discussed this in the previous slide, but again, core nations sell their developed commodities at higher prices than those from the periphery. Okay, di ba napaka-unfair? Ba, tayo mga Southeast Asians ang gumawa ng sapatos na 'yan. Ang ginawa lang ng Amerika, linagyan ng label, in box na lang, 'di ba? Kasi mo tigil lugan, digdi smaller parts na deta nga lugan kada phones, kada TV, kada computers, datay tinagipisok. Ilang inobra ni Amerika, ni Europe, inassemble da. Okay? Ginaganan da sa dain box, sa dain lako kanya tayo. Gatangan tayo tuti, nakanginginan. Diba? So, ayan. So, it created global inequalities. Kagaya nga sa capitalism, as stated by Karl Marx, jikit-kitain ni employees, jikit-kitain ni periphery nations, kadijay pinagubrana, manulang nga porsyento deta nakabasubasit lang no i-compare tay kadijay naganansya ni kapitalista, ni naganansya ni core nations. Okay? So while nations can move up and down within the system, okay, the military and economic power of the states in the core, along with the aspirations of those in the semi-periphery, make it unlikely that global relationships will be restructured to be more equitable. Ayan. Sabi ni Wallerstein, again, review, this system started in the 15th or 16th century. So matagal na to. Okay, kaya nga, again, ang buong akala ninyo, ang modern world system natin, natural, na it is run by the Western people, by Western civilizations. But actually, as we've already learned, hindi dapat ganun. Okay, it's Eastern in origins nga eh. Diba? So, ayan. Okay, because of this core, periphery, semi-periphery systems, nagkaroon na tayo eventually ng inequalities. And because alam natin 'yan kung sino yung may economic power, sila yung may political power. Ayan, so dito pumapasok yung sinasabi ko again, why BRICS is trying to establish a new world currency, a new system. Okay, to compete with the core nations like USA, like the Europe. Okay, so BRICS again, 5 lang na nations dati yan, pero ngayon 10 na sila. Okay, and they are about to expand more in the coming years. Okay, so again, yung away din natin dito sa West Philippine Sea. Okay, it's centered on economics. Okay, yung political issues na awayan ng USA and China, hindi naman literal na yung West Philippines yung awayan siya. It's more on this one, economic values. Okay? Ganon din sa Israel. Sa Middle East, hindi naman talagang yung Israel people, yung Muslim, ang concern dito eh. It's not the religion that that is the concern or the concerns of this Russia, of this China, of this USA, but rather the economic importance of this regions. Kasi alam natin, nandun ang oil, nandun ang petroleum. Okay? Same with Ukraine. Ukraine is rich in petroleum. Okay, so ayan. Again, this modern world system will create global inequalities. And these global inequalities will be more evident, okay, during World War One and during World War Two. This will be uh, the very purpose why we have World Bank, IMF, and other international financial institutions. Ito yung sasagutin, ito yung magiging problema na gustong solusyonan ng UN at ng World Bank at ng IMF at ng iba pang mga international financial institutions na tatalakayin natin. Okay? However, okay, spoiler alert, ayan, hindi sila magiging successful. Okay? Alam natin yan. Okay, that ends our discussion under this lesson. Okay, but again, I want to emphasize that for you to appreciate what I am trying to say here, you have to watch our video number 3 and video number 4. So this is actually just one documentary. Okay? It's important that we reflect on the real time or real life implications of what I'm trying to say here. Okay, para mas maintindihan ninyo, panoorin nyo yon. Okay, I expect that you will do your part. Okay, not only because it's included in the midterm exam, but again, we are trying here to teach you on how to become critical thinkers. Okay?